Hey guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana, and my good friend and weekly co-host Andrew Goldberg is in what state? Remind me, you're visiting. Is this
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania? Okay, so you're not at home. You're visiting mom and dad and some family that are in from Ukraine, right? We talked about
That's
that a little bit the other day. You got some family that just got over here from Ukraine. Everybody knows what's up in Ukraine and what's going on over there, so that had to be a good feeling to get some of your people and some of your kin over here to the States so you could put eyes on them. Have you ever seen these people?
never met him.
How many? How many people came over from your family, Andrew?
It's the mom, the daughter. The daughter has one kid, and then the 13-year-old son. 4 people.
That's awesome. How's the 13-year-old adjusting? Are
He,
you gonna throw him in
he's my.
school, or are you just gonna just tell him to go do some push-ups and sit-ups and be a bodybuilder like you? What are we gonna do with him?
He's so grateful. He's so humble. So like it's hard, right? Philly's like schools. You have to wake up at 6 a.m. It goes like 3:30. Then you got homework. Then he's in chess school now. Never complains. Just does the work. Head down. Awesome kid.
Seamless, just popped in. I mean, I'm assuming the kid speaks English. He didn't just show up at a Philadelphia high school and start. Yeah.
Very
Okay.
little. They're
Is he
learning
going
English
to
as they
Simon
go.
Gratz High School where Rasheed Wallace went?
Is that should we send him there? He's in middle school right now. Eighth
I think
grade.
he's ready. I think he's ready. If he's playing chess, he's ready, dude. You don't need to hold that kid back. If he's in the chess club, I mean, if he's training for chess, he's ready to go to high school in America for sure.
He has a vision, man. I hung out with him the other
Yeah.
day. He asked me, he's like, Andrew, like, tell me about Harvard, and what kind of classes do they teach there? Like, this is 13-year-old kid, man.
Yeah.
I have high hopes for him. I really enjoy this family. They're very
Yeah.
humble, and it's cool to because someone did this for us when we immigrated 30
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
So being able to kind of like
That's
return
awesome.
the favor by paying it
Yeah.
forward. It's a really, really special moment. And what's helped me, it helps you get out of yourself when you see kids, right? Because you
Yeah.
start making it about them more
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
making it about you.
Yeah, that's called fatherhood. You figure that out real freaking fast when you drive home from the hospital with that first one. Let me tell you, let alone 7 of them. So your life becomes much and much less about you and more about others. But that's kind of our pathway and our purpose on this planet. Is
The one thing
service
I
unto others.
learned is like you could talk, but like leading by example is really what kids follow.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
this
just
isn't a week. So
yeah, but then you need to make good decisions in the hobby. So he learns the right way. Or send him down here to Baton Rouge and let him live with the Dennisons for a little while. Let him live
oh
with
man.
the Cajun Cardboard and family, and we'll get him up and going in the hobby in no time, man.
You have like a litter. Cajun has 14 kids. He's on par with Antonio Cromartie.
Yeah, I can't get any of these kids to collect cards, man. I'm like jamming cards into their collection. I'm like, love it, love it, love it, and they won't do it, man. They won't. They
Well,
won't
he's like,
take
I
it.
don't want your Trey Young silver. There's like 2,000 of these.
That's a good point. It might be the cards that I'm shoving into their PC. Like, who is Jarrett Culver? I don't want Jarrett Culver. Give me some action, man. Give me some Jalen's. Give me some Jason Tatum's. Give me some Mitchell's. All right, so we're doing our weekly NBA, just kind of box score BS, just chat rap, just whatever is on top of mind. I got a couple of topics written down. You, as usual, came completely unprepared, so I'll carry you through it. The first topic of discussion is one of your favorite topics, not just the Warriors, but one particular Warrior, James Wiseman. He's back. So he got called back up, right? He went down to the G League. For those of you who have been watching, they had huge hopes for this kid, right? They could have chosen from amongst some really successful players in the NBA a couple years ago, and they chose James Wiseman, who's been injury plagued. We know he didn't get much run in Memphis. And so the idea was send him down to the G League, let him get some reps, some on-court reps, some consistent minutes, let him work on his game, develop his game, and also, honestly, maybe a dose of humble pie, Andrew. Sometimes that helps. And so he went down there, and I think he was like, a shade over 15 and 10 with a block and a half or something, but he was only playing 26 minutes a game. So if you kind of extrapolate that out to a consistent 32, 33 minutes, that's about 18 and 12, man. So that's not bad. And now he's back, and they kind of need him, right? Steve Kerr's like, we're not going to tinker with the rotation, hinting that we're not just going to plug and play, right? He's not just going to jump in and start for Looney or, be coming off the bench. They're going to keep doing their thing and get him minutes here and there. But Clay's, let me see, Draymond's out. Steph's out. There's more people out. Remind me who else is out. I know Draymond and Steph are out for this game coming up. I think it's tonight. I'm trying to think of who else is out. Check that out. So my question to you is,
Wiggins.
Wiggins is out. Yeah, that's big, right? That's three of your five starters and that's a really small team to begin with, to be quite honest with you. So I think they could use Wiseman. I've never been more wrong. I thought this was a situation where Wiseman would break out and just be a rim running rim protector and be exactly what they needed, and an upgrade over Looney. Some people bagged on me in the comments because I said Looney's a horrific NBA player. I stand by it. I think he's terrible. I get it. I understand he's a system glue guy, whatever. You call him whatever you want. The guy can't touch the rim. The guy can't, defend the rim. The guy can't score at all. He just kind of hands the ball off and gets in the way. So I'm not going to back down from that. I think he's horrible. I think he's much worse than an average NBA center. In fact, I don't even think he's a center because I don't think he's big enough. But I think Wiseman could help. I think Wiseman could really help. So we'll see if Kerr plugs him in. I guess the question is, do you think those 7 games are matter? Is that a blip on the radar? I mean, it's hard to really overhaul anything in 7 games.
I think if you look at this Warriors run, just to even kind of just track it all the way back, the one thing that they've missed is someone that meets people at the rim, right? That's a rim runner. It's the one piece that they are missing that would make them so dynamic. And I know Steph and Dre have the passing capabilities to make it work. I think we have a tendency in today's world with everything happening so fast to rush progress.
Yeah.
If you think about I stand by it, Wiseman hasn't played that many games.
Right.
Honestly, he hasn't played that many in college. He hasn't played that many in the pros. He's literally the definition of a raw talent. So I just think you need to be patient with him and give him time. The thing is that's tough with the NBA is you only have a 15-man roster, right?
Yep.
So it's hard to be patient, especially if you want to create assets to trade, right? So you can't keep him down at the G League and not have him show out in NBA if you want to use him as a trade chip for some kind of move in the offseason to really put them over the edge. And like you said, it's a pretty thin team, right?
Yeah.
After Jordan Poole, it sort of falls off after that 6-man.
Yeah.
You have Kuminga, you have Moody, you have Wiseman. These are still guys you're not sure what you're going to get from them day in and day out. So I think we're watching it play out, but it's obvious to say the early season overreactions with this Warriors team. Now they're over 500. They're going to obviously make the playoffs. They're always going to be a threat. But I think going into the season, they're not trying to be a threat. They want to win the championship. And they still see the glaring weaknesses they have. And just to touch on Looney, Looney's not a center. Looney is Tim Duncan without any offensive game. If you watch his footwork on defense, he is a good forward defender. He can guard the 4. He can't meet you at the rim the way Giannis can. He can't meet you at the rim the way Brook Lopez can.
Yeah.
But he has good feet, good footwork on defense. He slides his feet really well.
Yeah.
He'll give you what he could give you. He punches above his weight.
Yeah. So let me say this. You do the show with Cage a lot. And I think Cage is maybe nicer than I am because he probably would let you get away with saying something like Kevon Looney is Tim Duncan with no offense. But I think man, I almost want to just stop recording right now, drive up to Philadelphia, find you, and have words with you and throw hands because Tim Duncan's one of the greatest defensive players in the history of the NBA. He's 15 times all defensive player.
Great defender.
Yeah. Kevon Looney is not Tim Duncan without the offense. He's Tim Duncan without the offense, the defense, and the dreadlocks that Tim Duncan has now. And the rings, and the points, and the rebounds, and the blocks, and the steals. He's just
this isn't my word. I mean, look at the analytics. Watch him play. He's a good defender.
Okay. Go look at Tim Duncan's analytics. We're gonna die on this hill. I'm gonna die on this hill with Kevon Looney. I'm
obviously not comparing. What made Duncan great? Was Duncan an athlete?
Tim Duncan with one arm is better than Kevon Looney with 2 arms.
Is Tim Duncan an athlete? Does he jump and meet you at the rim?
He's a better athlete than Kevon Looney. He can dunk a basketball.
Does he jump and meet you at the rim?
Yeah, he did meet people at the rim in his early days in his career. Are you kidding me? Do you know how many shots he blocked? The dude blocked over 2 shots a game for over a decade, Andrew. Kevon Looney couldn't block 2 shots a game if his life depended on it.
So you're not going to answer a question. No problem. What made Duncan great was he was able to keep his body between you and the rim by sliding his feet well.
Okay.
Right? You coached basketball. You know how important sliding your feet is, right?
Yes.
You know how many people aren't good at sliding their feet. You watch Kevon Looney play. He's good at that. And it's a subtle thing, but the guy knows his role. He plays hard every single game. He's
Agreed.
consistent, and he does that very well.
I agree with the last three things you said and nothing you said before that. All right, let's keep cranking. We both think that the Warriors, god dang, if they can stay healthy, they're going to start to make this push. And again, I'm not a Warriors lover. I don't have any of these guys' cards. I know a lot of you guys watch this because you collect and you're in the hobby. I don't have any of these Warriors guys' cards at all. I mean, I have a couple of base cards because I'm collecting a set, but I'm not invested in any of these guys. But it's curious because they were a dynasty, and we thought that this was going to be a dynasty that was going to be able to tack another dynasty on because people thought so highly of Wiseman, Kuminga, and Moody. I mean, everybody thought they were a hit, and a hit. And all three have sorely failed to meet expectations. And again, whether that's based on attitude, whether it's just they're not as good as we thought they were, or whether it's just lack of minutes and game reps, I don't know. It'll all play out at some point. Poole's the one that I think, at this point, Poole's probably a can't miss. I mean, we can all agree he's going to be, a 20 a game scorer for a pretty long time in the NBA. Worst case. The absolute worst case scenario is he's Jordan Clarkson. That is the absolute floor. Whereas Moody, Kuminga, and Wiseman, shit, they may not be in the NBA in 5 years for all we know, or they could be all-stars. But I think Poole, we kind of know Poole's the real deal. Poole's going to be good. Despite the fact he's a horrific defender now, Poole's going to be a pretty elite offensive player in the NBA. You would agree with that. Poole's no longer – I mean, he might be a prospect from a card perspective because he doesn't have any hardware. But, as an NBA GM, I think there's a lot of GMs in the NBA that think, hey, I can take this guy, Jordan Poole, put him at my 2 or my 1-2 combo and let him run the point, while my starting point guard's, resting on the bench. He can be a shooting guard / point guard when needed. I think Poole's, I think the world can count on him. We spend too much time on the Warriors. You like Poole?
Well, I invested in Poole, so when you have stake in the game that you watch a little different. I think the Jordan Clarkson comparison is incredible. What happens is I think a lot about people's identity, right? And oftentimes you come in, you're an underdog, and that's your identity. You're like, I'm going to prove people wrong, right?
Yeah.
There comes a time where that shifts. And
Yes.
I think that's shifted for Poole. And he even had a quote. He's like, the way teams are guarding Curry is how they're guarding me as a part of the second unit.
Yeah.
And my kind of response was like, well, no shit. Right? This is what
there's nobody else to guard
right
on the second unit, right?
So how does he embrace this new role? So
yeah,
my comp, I love the Jordan Clarkson comp. Was
to be clear, Andrew, that was my floor. I think his potential is much greater than Jordan Clarkson. As a ball handler, I think he's capable of much more to do more things on offense as far as creating and everything. And also, to be fair to Jordan Clarkson, he's a very good player.
Yeah.
But I think the floor, Jordan Clarkson's the floor for Poole's career.
And I agree. And Poole's probably a better passer. But I saw this play out with Tyler Hero. So I was in the podcast with Cage. I was early on with Tyler Hero because when you burst onto the scene and nobody knows about you,
yeah,
they don't game plan for you. You're not on their mind. They're not thinking about you. So you could kind of surprise them. And Tyler Hero did that. The following season, he got put into a much bigger role. He was asked to run the point. He was asked to play make. Now he was asked to not just get himself buckets, but to make the guys around him better. And he struggled. And then they moved him back to sixth man. So I'm curious how, after Poole has had this success from bursting on the scene, Michigan, no one talked about him, no one knew about him, to, hey, we need you now. You're maybe the second best playmaker on this team.
Yeah.
That could score. Can you make Moody better? Can you make Wiseman better? Can you make Kuminga better? Can you create easy opportunities for them? I don't know if he has it yet.
Andrew, that's one of the awesome things about the NBA is, and it's hard to look past the now, but there's gonna come a time, and we're kind of seeing it with Klay Thompson, but there's gonna come a time where Klay, Steph, and Poole are gonna be on the floor, and Poole's gonna be the primary focal point. I'm not saying now, and it might not be 2 years from now, and they may not be together, but we're seeing it with LeBron and AD, right? It's not that LeBron is no longer the alpha. But anybody with eyeballs, even the most, stout LeBron James supporter, has to admit right now in this short window, we're starting to see what might be that transition, right? From alpha to beta. And again, a lot of that's personality. But one day we'll see that with Poole, and he'll be the guy, right? We've seen it in the past. We've always seen that, all those guys have to transition from being absolute mega superstars with no accountability to becoming role players. We saw it with Blake Griffin We saw it with Scottie Pippen. We see it with, I mean, go down the list of guys, as they get late in their career, they just become role players and they've got to defer. And some people really struggle with that. Shit, Carmelo was almost out of the league because he couldn't deal with that.
Right.
Russell Westbrook was teetering on the brink of this right now, right this second. And everybody's like, he's done. He's useless. He's trash. Yeah, but look, they moved him to that bench role. The Lakers are winning. He's flourishing. He's actually, from what I see of Russell Westbrook, he's more pass first, which has really helped him a lot. It's really helped him to be the point guard of the second unit instead of, make open threes, be in the starting line. It just wasn't a good fit. And it's really interesting how that worked out. But it's fascinating to watch NBA teams, and one day maybe Lillard transitions that to Simons. I'm a big Simons guy. So every team deals with that with their superstars, So anyway, that's just
touch on the Lakers.
Watch.
I love what I'm seeing from LeBron and that team. Because you could have wrote them off early in the season. There was times that you'd watch their games and you'd be like, this is kind of embarrassing for just basketball in general, right? Like, you have so much talent.
We were laughing. Dude, I was watching with my son, Andrew, laughing at the TV, because it was just a what do they call it? The band of misfit toys. It was just funny to watch because nobody knew what the hell they were supposed to be doing. Nobody knew who had permission to shoot. And AD's gone apeshit, and that's part of the reason they won 7 out of 10 or whatever. But I think the key to the Lakers team finally starting to click and that chemistry going, Troy Brown, Lonnie Walker, Thomas Bryant, Austin Reeves, and Westbrook embracing his role. Those dudes are playing really good basketball.
Yep.
Lonnie Walker and Troy Brown are pretty good NBA players with pretty good length and the ability to they're athletic. And that's kind of what that Laker team was missing in years past is they had a bunch of stiffs, man. Other than KCP, they had a bunch of catch and shoots. These guys can do a few things off the dribble and they can move pretty well. Reeves is a lot better than people give him credit for. I think
he's got a high IQ.
You know who my son says Austin Reeves reminds him of? You remember the creepy little dude on Wedding Crashers, the brother of the bride, the weird little dude that kind of.
I painted this for you. The painting is a gift, Todd. I'm taking it with me.
I painted this to you. He reminds him of that guy.
That's the best movie I've ever seen. I saw that movie in theaters. And I swear, like some movies that you just need. I saw Dark Knight and Wedding Crashers in theaters.
Yeah.
It hits so much better in theaters. That movie, when the whole theater was cracking up, the first scene, I'll remember that movie for the rest of my life because I saw it in theaters and was cracking up.
Ma, the Meatloaf. No, wait. Is that the same movie? Yeah, same movie. Yeah,
100%.
All right. So we talked about Wiseman. We kind of hinted at talking about AD. Now, he went out of last night's game. We're filming this on December 7th. Today is a Thursday? No, Wednesday. Today's a Wednesday. So last night, AD played 8 minutes and then bounced, and everybody was like, AD's hurt again, AD's hurt again. And it ended up being flu-like symptoms. So that's a good sign for AD collectors and Laker fans, around the world. And I know there's all kinds of haters that couldn't wait to hear back spasms or sprained left toe or something stupid like that. But is AD a buy? Have you looked at his cards? Let me put you on screen share. Let's just look at some AD stuff. Is that cool if we just look at some AD cards? 2012 is his rookie year, Andrew. The 2012 Prism sets, the highly acclaimed set, the first, kind of chromium set from that 2012 year, first year of Prism. I got his Prism Silver pulled up. I don't think most people, I mean, some people who collect the set would know, but I don't think most people would realize Pop 32 in PSA 10, man.
Iconic set, really awesome card. Is it a buy? That BGS is tasty. If you have a PSA 10 for almost 3,000, you could get a BGS 9 for under $1,000. I like that opportunity.
Look at that. The card sold for $25,000 and now it's $2,800. Is it just hard to buy in the face of such bloodshed? Is that what the problem is? Is that what's going on in the hobby? Is like, do we just need this line on the bottom of your screen? Do we just need this line down here to be longer so we no longer see the mountaintop in the background when we look at 2 years? Is that the problem? Is it human psyche? Is it human psyche to see this card was once 25,000 and now it's 2,800? That makes me want to buy it. And I don't even like Anthony Davis, to be quite honest with you, and I don't own any of his cards. That makes me want to buy it. Whereas I think most people are like, the hell with that. If it was 25 and now it's 2,800, I'm going to let this thing fall to 800.
You know this by looking at charts. Like, you could make a chart dance however you want it to, right?
Yeah.
So you could make a compelling argument like, hey, this AD was once 25,000. It's 3,000 now. It's low pop. Player has tread on his tires. This is a buy. But you could also say, I don't know where the bottom is in this market.
Yeah.
And holding out, like they say, don't catch a falling knife. This doesn't just apply for AD. Where's the bottom in this market? Where's the
It's
bottom
every
for the
card.
Jordan
Yeah.
10? Where's
Yeah.
and we're living through a really interesting time in the market where I can't say I know the answer. You just have to have some sort of conviction and a longer time frame if you're buying.
Yep. You do. It's just the world's changed, and you've got to adapt, and you got to kind of go from there. We were talking about the population before we got on here, the population of Silver Prism PSA 10s, and it's just fascinating. There's a bunch of incongruities out there. There's a bunch of logical fallacies. It just doesn't make sense. Like right now, I'm going to give you two players, and then we're going to compare their Silver Prism PSA 10 cards. Okay. Donovan Mitchell and Trae Young. And I know you have a bias against Trae Young because you want to win an argument between you and me that we'll talk about, on another show. But
Do you favor Trae Young? Are you a fan?
No, I was just you made a disparaging comment about him. I defended the guy. I don't own any of his cards at all. Like I don't think I own a single Trae Young.
What did
card.
I say? This was in text in our group text.
Yeah, I mean the SGA. You said SGA would make the Hawks better than Trae Young, and I was like, just calm down for a second.
Of course he would.
Can we just let me just get to the point before, because this will be bad. This will be blood and bones, and we'll start arguing about this.
You don't think SGA would make the Hawks better?
I don't know the answer to that question because we haven't seen SGA put together what he's doing for a long enough sample size. We're still 25 games into the season, and Trae Young's an all-NBA player. So before you throw dirt on the coffin of Trae Young, I think you should probably let him shoot his way out of this slump.
Trae Young is an all-NBA stat pattern. That's a difference from an
all-NBA he's an all-NBA player.
Trae Young adds nothing to people's teams. He's wildly inefficient. He's an overrated passer. He's a high-usage ball hog. He can't defend for anything.
Well, remind me how many conference finals has SGA been to?
That's the stupidest stat ever.
How many All-NBA teams has SGA made?
Those are not interesting stats, and they're not milestones. Because I got to the Eastern Conference Finals, I am some sort of a better player than SGA?
Okay, how about this? SGA is a better player simply because of a 25-game span that he's been in this season?
No, he's a better player because of the tools in his tool belt.
Would you have said he's a better player in August before the season started? Of course not. No one would have.
So in the OG sports group that got me into the hobby, which was like the Gary V group that I was in, I was arguing with them saying that SGA is on par with Luka. That's what he has the talent to be. I said he's better than Trae from day one because I don't think he's as good as Luka. But I said it from the get, even before this run-up, that SGA has Luka-type talent, not Trae talent. Trae is easily third.
Dude, they're in different situations. Like, you just plugged in DeJounte Murray, an all-star level guard, into a roster and said, figure it out. They've only had 28 games to figure it out. Trae Young spent his entire career playing that Steph Curry role where everybody's chasing him around and they're running hot pick and rolls over and over and over. And so he's never had to adjust to having another elite ball handler, point guard, distributor, alpha, high usage guy in the backcourt with him. He's always had Kevin Huerter who catches and shoots it. It's different. It takes a long time to figure out how to play basketball with brand new members on your team, especially when one of them is as good as DeJounte Murray. SGA's never had to deal with that crap because he's the clear-cut alpha. Clear cut. That's just the way he's always been that way. When he was on the Clippers, nobody thought he was the greatest thing in the world. I thought he was a good player. I mean, don't get me wrong, but nobody thought he was going to be this, right?
I'll put my head on the chopping block saying that they'll never figure it out. And we need to call this Trae Young experiment the worst trade in NBA history. The amount of talent that Trae Young has around him in DeAndre Hunter and John Collins, in Capella, these are very good role players. These are role players that not are good. They fit the playing style of Trae, and he still can't win with them. He is overrated.
Okay. Did you know that the Hawks are fourth in the East?
Yes, I do.
Well, then what did you expect the Hawks to be? First?
I didn't expect the Hawks to do anything. I think
Well, the Hawks
Detroit
are
sucks.
fourth in the East with an underperforming Trae Young. And by the way, you just used the word role player after 3 starters that are on that team. Go compare them to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Why don't you replace them with Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, and freaking Donovan Mitchell? I mean, it's not a fair comparison. You act like those are the most talented guys in the world. They look like they should be really talented. John Collins is a good player. DeAndre Hunter's done nothing ever. He's the Kuminga of the East. And then Clint Capella is an aging, brittle rim protector who's okay still at pick and roll rim running. Maybe, I guess. I mean, Okongwu might even be a better player than Capella right now. I don't know. I mean, I just think as we always, our arguments always come down to the sample size, and I need a larger sample size before I'm going to choose SGA over Trae Young. I very well might at the end of the season, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to throw out an all NBA player because he's in a horrific shooting slump for SGA because he's in an incredible heater right now, and he is. I mean, he's shooting some pretty unsustainable percentages right now that I think will regress to the mean at some point. I think it's an aberration. Do I think SGA is an all-star caliber player? I do. But right now, he's like one of the statistically, he's one of the 5 best players in the league. I just don't think that's going to sustain. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you put other decent players around him. I just don't think it's always going to be that way.
I think that's fair. Let's do the comp, and I'm going to throw in a third one into that. So you
Okay.
have Donovan Mitchell silvers, Trae Young silver, and you're going to show the pops and stuff.
I got him. Here we are. Let me make the screen a little bit bigger. There you go. The screen's a little bit bigger. Throw the graph out because these are hard to digest. But let's focus on a couple of things here, right? So what we were getting at before we got sidetracked with the Trae Young versus SGA, right? Which we're going to revisit. Let's give it a few episodes, and we'll revisit it at the All-Star break, and we'll revisit it at the end. I think they're both great players, and I think SGA could be better, but let's see.
If I'm wrong, I'll come on here and I'll say I'm wrong, guys.
And I will too. You know that. And again, I have no dog in the hunt. I don't collect those guys. I'm not pump and dump it. It doesn't do me good to pump it because I can't dump it, right? Is that something? So we've got Mitchell and Trae Young. Obviously, I'm going to ask you a question. I know what your answer is going to be. Which of these players do you think is the better player moving forward? Which one's better now? Which one has a higher upside? Which one would you want to be invested in? And I think just generally speaking, and I assume your answer will be Donovan Mitchell.
So before I give my answer, it's not on here, but guys, the card letter value of the SGA card from 2018 is $455, and it's 532.
Hang on, I'm going to add them on here. Look, it's real easy. Card ladder makes it super easy. Boom.
And honestly, when you add that comparison, it's a no-brainer to go Donovan Mitchell. It's a no-brainer to go. I could get 3 Donovan Mitchells for the price that I could get 2 SGAs. Pop is identical. And to me, Donovan Mitchell is easily has more upside than both of these guys. Short term and medium term.
Spida, SGA, Trae Young for you.
Spida, Trae, then SGA in
Forget
terms
about
of
cards. If you were an NBA GM, or if all their cards were equal, pops were equal, years were equal, that's your order of, as far as where you put these young NBA players, who you would want, right? From a collector standpoint or from an NBA standpoint. Spida, SGA, Trae Young.
Yep.
I am probably Spida, and then I think Trae Young and SGA, I'm on the wait and see. I'm on the sidelines watching. And again, don't have any of their cards, so I have no reason to prioritize one over the other. But the deal with the SGA, and so here's some cool stuff, right? So we look at their prices. Donovan Mitchell is cheaper than Trae Young. This is the Prism Silver PSA 10 card, guys. Okay, so we've got it. I don't need to click it. Look at the pop for the Donovan Mitchell, 576, compared to the population of how many PSA 10 silvers there are for Trae Young. It's about a fourth, and the price is less. That is an incongruity, right? That doesn't make sense. That's a pop 576 card. I know by today's standards, people don't want to see cards that are pop over 100, but in the grand scheme of things, for his primary, parallel and the premier chromium type product for Donovan Mitchell, that's not a bad pop, 576. I think when you start getting into the thousands, that's where we get into real trouble, even long term. But the Trae Young's 4x the pop, and the price is more. That doesn't make sense to me because I am at the place where I'm comfortable saying I think Donovan Mitchell is better than Trae Young.
Can I ask you,
I'm very comfortable saying that.
occasion? So I think this. If we look at the comp culture and just the data culture, there are a lot of benefits. So we love this data. Do you think when viewing this data, it would help to add BGS 9.5s and PSA 9s to the mix as well? The reason I ask is for Donovan Mitchell, for example, during 2017, a lot of people were still grading those cards with BGS, right? So we're not always getting the full
More.
picture with population.
Yeah.
Second thing, and I'm just intuitively that comes to my mind is the 2017 is a much tougher grade if you look at just the centering on it compared to 2018. So I'm curious how many nines of there are of Donovan Mitchell.
Well, it's real easy. We can go here. We can go here. We hit 9 on card ladder, and there you go. There's 545. So there's 1,000 total.
How about Trae Young? How many nines?
All right, let's check it out. It's that easy. There's going to be a lot.
Oh my! See, now you get a full picture. So you have 1,000.
It's a
PSA
print run
10.
issue, Andrew. It's not a great and difficulty grading. I mean, I know it's not as easy, but it's
Right.
not that. Andrew, it
It's
is
a print run.
like people are sleeping if they don't realize like that's 4x, dude. That's 4x between those two players.
That Trae Young's going lower.
It's I think the Mitchell's too low and I think the Trae's too high.
Yeah.
Is that weird?
I think that's fair. I know we don't love market cap because it's not true market cap. Like you can't really sell every one. You'd flood the market. But when you see a market cap of 200,000 versus 800,000, you can't say that Trae is 4x more valuable. I think eventually over time, you'll start to see that they should balance out. Maybe Donovan Mitchell should be 350,000 market cap and Trae should be 350,000 market cap.
There's your market cap over the last 2 years. Donovan Mitchell is, what is that? Almost 1/5? Between 1/4 and 1/5, the market cap. SGA is a higher market cap than Donovan Mitchell. SGA and Donovan Mitchell have almost identical pops. We'll say pretty close, 576, 532. Now, your people are looking at this and they're like, why in the hell is Trae Young pop 2243 and Shea is the exact same class, exact same card, and it's pop 532? There was a printing defect on the Shea. So there was something special about the shot, in addition to the fact that they forgot to put the rookie logo on there, right? Isn't that a big deal? Like the Trae Young, or maybe they didn't put rookie logo. Oh, there it is. So the rookie shield's there on Trae. But if I recall, didn't they forget to put it? Didn't they put it on like, shit, I can never remember this. Like they accidentally put his rookie card shield logo thing in the top left. It's supposed to be on there. They put it on somebody else's, and I can't remember who it was. But he wasn't a rookie. It was like Brogdon or some guy like that. I can't remember who it was. But that's why that the Shea, the same year as Trae, is only a pop 532 compared to a pop 2243 is because there was some kind of grading defect or whatever. So if we look at the Shea, I bet his PSA 9s are going to be a lot higher. Yeah, see, so his PSA 9s are 3x the PSA 10s from a pop standpoint because they weren't grading well. So that is a grading factor to consider on that. And again, I'm not a super expert about what that deficiency was, but there was something wrong with it. I just remember that. And I think people discovered it very early on with his gem percentage compared to the other 2018 rookies. But just looking at these three guys, I love this comparison. I love these three guys because they're real close in age. They're real close in what their rookie year was. And then you've also, you factor in it's the exact same card and the exact same grade, the disparity being Panini started chasing the dollar like no one could possibly imagine in 2018. And if you think it stopped in 2018, you're sorely mistaken. 2019, 2020, 2021 is worse. The only reason those pops haven't dwarfed 2018 is because the price of grading went up. And if we see the price of grading come back down, I think the pop for 2019, 2020, and 2021 will go up as well. It's a well-established fact by people a lot smarter than me that the pop of the silver prism just, exploded year upon year. Simon 466 does a good job doing a deep dive into the silver population reports, starting from 2012 all the way through, the modern year. And it's a pretty scary chart to look at what Panini decided to do with that. And that's our great hope is that when Fanatics, comes in and transitions, they'll kind of at least cap it. If not, move it back down. Fewer parallels, fewer of every parallel would be really nice. Please, Fanatics, if you're listening ever. So,
Yeah.
any other thoughts about these three guys? It makes
Just
me want to go buy Mitchell, but then it also makes me, then I always fall back to, well, Michael Jordan's better than Donovan Mitchell, so I'm going to go buy him instead.
So if we just look at 92 Shaq, right? For example, that Shaq era. I mean, Shaq checks every box. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, every box.
So from an investment standpoint,
Yeah.
Shaq's not a great buy, right? Because you just like there's so many of his cards out there. It's so diluted. What's his true rookie? There's a few purchase opportunities with Shaq, but realistically, it was the junk wax era. Maybe it's a good thing that these cards are coming back to affordable prices. Where if you just love Trae Young, maybe you'll be able to get a silver in a year for 150 in a PSA. That's kind of cool too. There is some benefit to that.
We say that, and we know it was the junk wax era, but the difference between 92, they printed the shit out of it. Don't get me wrong, but the difference between 92 and 2018 is the 2018 cards grade at a really high gem percentage. And the 1992 cards, because they were primarily paper cards, do not. And because, damn it, they're freaking 30 years old.
Right.
And so, what do you think the pop is of a Shaquille O'Neal base upper deck rookie card? PSA 10.
PSA 10. Very low. Very, very low.
337, Andrew.
Yeah.
Think about that. We just looked at silvers for these guys, and they're pop 2,200, 576, which we said is not that high, and 532. Let's go back and look at Shaq's card number one, right? Not the trade card, but his base rookie card. It's pop 337. They printed 100,000 million trillion zillion of these. We know they did, right? And everybody was chasing these damn things in 92. And that's why it's a $2,000 card, because he's one of the 5 greatest centers that ever lived, and there's only 337 of them. Guess how many nines there are? This is going to be a really big number. I don't know what it is. What do you think? What do you think it is?
1,500.
Oh, I say it's 4,000. One of us is going to look dumb. I have no idea. I've never looked. Oh, right in the middle, 3,600. If we look at
the price is right, you went over.
Hey, I'll tell you this. I bet PSA 8 is like 400,000. Mm-hmm. I'm just kidding. I know I've contributed about 50,000 PSA 8s to the pop report for this card. Guys, if you're at home and you think you have a raw Shaq that's going to get a PSA 10, I've got bad news for you. You're not.
Look at the price discrepancy.
Yeah, between me and my buddies down here in Louisiana, Shaq's one of our very own. We've submitted probably 150 of these and never got a 10 back. So
look at the price discrepancy. Just read it out for people. So 10 is $2,000. What's
10 is $2,000. A 9 is $50. And so when I get these comments, Andrew, and I post stuff on Instagram all the time. I'll post a Jordan card, it'll be in a PSA 10, and I'll post a Jordan card, the same card, and it'll be in a PSA 8. And rightfully so, astute hobby observers who I respect and admire will say, can you even tell the difference between an 8 and a 10? It's bullshit. And my answer is, you're damn right it's bullshit. No, and I can't. But I mean, we're playing the game, and everybody's playing the same game. And when a 10 is worth $2,000 and a 9 is worth $51, that's why I want the 10 long term. And it's like, well, the hobby at some point is going to figure out that an 8's not that different from a 10. Well, shit, they haven't figured it out in 30 years. What makes you think it's going to change in the next 10? The disparity is getting bigger. The margin between a PSA 10 and a BGS 9.5 is greater in the past 3 years. And I think we have more education in the hobby and more educated constituents in the hobby than we've ever had before. And people know that a BGS 9.5 is not different than a PSA 10. It might be better even, right? Throw out subgrades. Just generally speaking, it honestly is quite simply the same card, right? In the same grade. And that disparity between PSA 10 and even a PSA 9 or PSA 10 and a BGS 9.5, that disparity is growing month over month. It's getting bigger. The price disparity I'm talking about.
I think the kind of like hobby 301, the higher level courses, will start to be able to segment by cards, right? Whereas some cards, the 10 will always hold value so much more than like this. You're pulling a great one up right now, the Scoring Kings. But I do think eventually for some cards, it won't matter a 10, a 9, or an 8. It will come back down. So there will always be that 10 collector like you mentioned for the Jordans. But I do believe that there will be cards where the 9 and the 10, the gap won't be as big. So I think it's going to become more card specific than just a general hobby rule.
I mean, there's your example. People are like, why are you I've always tried to collect rare Jordan 90s parallels and inserts in PSA 10 or BGS 9.5. People are like, why are you doing that? Why are you paying that premium? And I was like, well, that's the way to get the population down. Like a PSA 8 Scoring Kings, you can see on your screen is about 690. A PSA 10 is right at 100. It's 97. It's less than 100, right? And we're 30 years out. And yeah, it's freaking 20x, but that's why it's 20x, because as much as we want to say, hey, we're just collectors, right? You also want to buy what you think other people are going to want in the future in case you do decide to liquidate, whether it's just to make money, which is fine, right? There's no stigma to people who buy cards low and sell them high and make money and go buy things that they like in the real world. That's fine. I have no problem with that, right? People are like really disparaging about flippers and investors and like it's a bad word. I don't think it's a bad word, but like the reason I'm buying PSA 10s is because that margin's getting larger between 9s and 10s, and there's just fewer out there. And if push comes to shove and the demand in the hobby ever does wane, like it is sort of what we're going through now, I think there's fewer people probably in the hobby looking to buy these types of cards. I think that the high-end people are going to fight over the PSA 10s. I don't think they're going to fight over the PSA 8s, because I could go buy 65 PSA 8s right now. In the next hour, I could literally buy 65 Scoring Kings PSA 8s. But if I wanted to buy PSA 10, there's one out there, and I'm going to have to go fight. Maybe it's only 3 other people in the entire world. But if I've got to fight 3 people for those cards, that's going to push that price up at some point. And again, this card's taking a bath. This card was 20 grand. I bought mine at like 18 grand. So I'm getting murdered on this card. But like I said, I buy this card.
You're not doing so bad relative to the market, though.
What's that?
You're not doing terrible relative to the market.
Well, I just don't give a shit. I mean, what does it matter if I'd have bought 15 Shea Gilgeous-Alexander silver PSA 10s? I'd be in the same boat. If I'd have spent 20 grand on Donovan Mitchell, that would be worth 12,000 too. So what does it matter? I like Michael Jordan, so that's what I'm buying, right? Yeah, nobody's immune from what we're dealing with in the hobby right now. Not Jordan, not Brady, not Jeter, not Griffey, not fill in the blank. It doesn't freaking matter, man.
But in that scenario where if you bought Trey silver, they would have fallen the same way as this. I think at the end of the day, you'd rather be holding that than all those.
Of course,
silvers.
Yeah.
And I also think you mentioned people are going to fight over the 10 and knowing who your buyer is at the end of the day. People will fight over a 10 for this, but there will be cards where they won't fight over 10s. So it's also important to know which cards to buy that. There will be that.
That's right.
Because Jordan collectors are, I don't want to use the word snob, but they have this, they love the 10s. There is this fight for a 10, whereas for other cards, there might not be that fight for a 10.
There's only so many to go around. And again, while everybody's on the edge of the bridge thinking about, jumping off, it's hard to do this, but I keep telling people, take a step back. If you're financially liquid enough, take a step back and enjoy this period. It won't be around forever. This period where the grail that you thought would never be in your collection, you could now buy 2 of them for the price of 1. And I'm talking about Jordans and Brady's and Griffey's and Trouts and fill in the blanks. I mean, all of those guys, some of those cards are 2 for 1, 3 for 1. I mean, I do these PWCC recaps on the Luca Nation Network every Monday, and I see it. And when I see it, my math brain, my Cajun math brain says, God damn, I can buy 4 for what 1 would have cost in March of 2021. You know what I mean? Like 18 months ago, it would have been $25,000. I can buy it for $8,000 last night. I did it. I just did it with this card. Look, I'll show you. And I just posted it on Instagram.
I have one question for you after this.
Yeah. So I just bought this card in the PWCC weekly. So this is the rave reviews, and mine's not up here yet. I sent my wire to pay for it, and they haven't received it yet. But I think I paid like $7,600 or $7,800. And the last one sold this year. What is that? 3 months? Not even 3 months ago, Andrew, for $11,160. Here's the last sale. That's the last sale right there. Why is this?
Because I know you're a big data guy and number and charts. Are you, now that you're seeing some of this stuff come out with, the loans people are getting, right? So businesses were getting loans, people are getting stimulus checks, all of this money that flooded into just our general economy. Are you worried that those comps, I don't want to say that, right? Nuance matters. I don't want to say that they're fake comps, but I want to say that they're inorganic comps, just to use that word. Are you
Oh yeah.
Are you worried a little bit using those as a data point because you're like, that's inorganic. That's not going to happen again.
We talked about this a little bit last night, me, you, and Cage. Cage didn't chime in, but I have a feeling he's probably closer to my side. Um, I don't think what we experienced in 2019 through first quarter of 2021, I don't think we'll ever experience that again, where cards go up 800% or like with Anthony Simons, for instance. I mean, I made 20x on some of those cards, Andrew. I don't think that will ever happen again because the next time something like that, if there's an inkling that that's going to happen again, and let's say Fanatics just hits a home run and masses of people flood into the hobby, the economy starts booming, the next president decides to give out free money again everywhere. Let's say we can replicate all that stuff. There's another pandemic, God forbid, all of the perfect storm hits again. I think all of the hobby participants are more educated, and we just saw this happen. So if this happens again in, let's say, 5 years, people are going to sell on the uptick. Whereas in the past, people like me, I missed the peak because I was like,
buying the up peak.
Yeah, I was like, man, it's only up 3x. I'm going to wait till it's up 12x. I don't think people are going to make that same mistake. I think they're going to take their profits on the way up, which means more cards are going to hit the market, which means, supply is going to go up. And that's going to kind of, it might be a steady up and to the right, but we will not see that mountain peak that we saw in first quarter of 2021 and the 2019 leading up to it. I don't think we'll ever see another curve that steep. Do I think they can go back to those prices? Yes, but I don't think it's going to be in 2025, right? It may be in 2045 or 2035 or something like that. I think it's going to be a steady up and to the right. And again, that's not for all cards. I'm not saying all cards are going to go up and to the right, but cards like this, the one that, this one that we've got on our screen here, other types of rare cards. And I'm just a Jordan guy, so I'm using that as an example, but like,
it's a beautiful card.
Yeah, thank you. I think those cards are going to go up and to the right, but I don't think we'll ever see that spike because people will get out of them unless they're absolute true collectors, right? So like for instance, there's 9 of these, right? There's 9 BGS 9.5s. There's 17 PSA 10s. And by the way, doesn't it look like a completely different card, the picture? It doesn't even look like the same card. Look, there's the 10. Okay.
It looks completely different. Even the
color looks different. Different color. Everything about it looks
gold,
different.
one's blue, purple, right?
Thank you. Yes, I know. Isn't that funny how that card, if you tilt it at a certain angle, it looks like a completely different card. Look at that. That's wild, huh?
Wow.
So what did we say? There's 26 of these?
Cajun, have you held that card in hand?
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it? Is it gold?
It's the other one. This is what it looks like in your hand.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how Card Ladder did that picture. It had to be, and again, they just rip pictures off of whatever, but it had to be taken, at a certain angle to make it look like that. Because that is not what the card looks like in your hand. And
that's the purple disco parallel.
Yeah, there you go. Look, I mean, look at the other grades, right? They all look the same. But that one just looks, and that one looks different too. It looks orange.
What is happening?
I don't know. It's a special card. But like there's 26 of this card in gem mint condition, Andrew. And so, are 20 of them in the hands of absolute true collectors? Like if this card, like I bought it for whatever, 7,800, let's say, I can't remember exactly, but it's something like that. If it goes to 14,000, I don't give a shit. I'm not selling the card. If it goes to 14,000 in 30 days, I'm not selling this card. Like I'm collecting this card. Like I'm not a pure collector. Like there are other cards I would sell if they went up like that. But Michael Jordan cards that are low pop like that, I want to own these cards. I want to appreciate these cards for a decade or 2 decades. I don't want $4,000 more dollars, right? So it just depends. I think it's going to be a steady up and to the right, but for some cards like this, which are such low pop, it could be a little more steep. And I think everybody's kind of figured that out. Right now, I think the hobby is trying to figure out how much is too much. Is it pop 100? Is it pop 500? Is it pop 2,000? I don't know. And I don't have the answer. The hobby is going to decide, right? Like you and I look at these silvers, and me personally, I don't think 576 PSA 10 silver rookie cards for Donovan Mitchell is a lot if he's a 10-time All-NBA player. I don't. I think 2,243 is always going to be too many.
I agree.
No,
I think you're if I'm the audience, I go back and listen to the last, 5-10 minutes. It's an amazing recap. And guys, I just want to give a quick shout out to Cajun. Like we've been working with him for 2.5 months here. He's an even better dude behind the scenes. Like what you see is
Oh,
what you get here. Uh,
appreciate it.
Reach out to the man. DM him, leave comments. He responds to just about everyone. If you have questions, I've learned so much from him. So Luca Nation Network, like welcome Cajun to what we're doing, but know that this is a good man sitting in front of me.
I appreciate you saying that. It's been a good ride. It's been a fun ride for the
I got one
few months.
question for you.
Yeah, yeah,
So you manage a team of people. You have salespeople working for you,
yeah,
and you know this. Like when you work with people, you're like, this guy's a talent. This guy's potential. This guy's just a hard worker. You're able to understand that like everyone brings a little something different. But you've also seen someone who comes in who just head down works, humble, right? But they don't have a ton of potential, right? They don't have maybe as much potential as like that guy just born with it, But he might be lazy or whatever. Have we seen Giannis's peak? And I ask that because watching his shooting, I'm worried that he's as much as he works on it, man, he does. Like you can't argue like but everyone has just what they can really be about, right? They
yep.
have their peak. Have we seen it with Giannis? Or maybe not even seen it, but are we just basically approaching it?
Yeah, I mean, his shooting's regressed. Look, okay, so here's where I have to be transparent the other way. I care more about Giannis than any active player in the NBA because I have a great deal of money invested. He's the best player on my fantasy dynasty basketball team, which I live and die for, right, with a bunch of other NBA nerds. He's the best player on my best team, and he's my favorite active player in the world. So I have every reason to hype the shit out of Giannis. But I was a pretty damn good shooter in college and high school and even into my late 30s. It boggles my mind how someone's shooting can regress and how their mind can interfere with their ability to shoot a free throw. Like, to me, it's simple science. Like, it's really not that difficult. Like, he's locking his legs out and releasing the ball with straight legs. Like, why can't his shooting coach – I don't understand why his release point needs to be so high on a free throw. It's not like he needs to create space. Just lower your release point. His elbow, if you can see it on the screen, his elbow gets inside of his guide, of his shooting hand. Inside, like this, right? It needs to be square underneath the ball, like a waiter carrying a tray to a bunch of people at a restaurant. I don't understand how you can't look at video and say, oh, I'm doing this wrong. Let me go look at a video of Ray Allen, or let me go look at a video of Mark Price or Steve Nash and just do what they do. Like, it always came, naturally to me to just look at what other people are doing and try to emulate it. And I know he's got people around him. So why is the shooting getting worse? To answer your question, it worries me. I don't think he's ever going to be an average shooter in the NBA. But that being said, he could still win 2 or 3 more NBAs because he's not an average shooter right now. And he wasn't when he won his MVPs. He's just not.
The reality is we know like anatomy, right? Like you brought up a lot of points. The word that came to my mind is just anatomy, right? Like sometimes like your body moves a certain type of way. I was watching a game and they were talking about how the lighter you are, the better you are as a shooter. Like they drew correlations between that. The shorter you are, up to a certain range, you're a better shooter. Your body's a little bit coordinated differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Giannis is like a string bean. He's like a spaghetti. So like just the anatomy, the coordination, I'm sure he watches those and I'm sure he wants to implement it. But there are just certain limitations that we have in from nature, from DNA, where it's like as much as we try to change it, a zebra, you can't change the stripes on a zebra. I'm worried that is what we're seeing with him, and it's no disrespect to him. It's just an observation.
Well, here, let me ask you this question. Sure. This is something people don't think about because we're mortals. We're just,
right.
I'm a bigger person than I'm, 6'4", 200 pounds. I'm bigger than most people on earth. Giannis is like a freaking, freak of nature, right? He's probably pushing 7 feet tall. His release point's really high. His hands, Andrew, is something I don't think people can really comprehend just how big these guys' hands are. So if I said, Andrew, let's go into the gym. It's an empty gym. And I said, Andrew, let's shoot 100 free throws with this basketball, right? Let's say Andrew makes 70% of his free throws, right? Sorry if that is insulting to you, but let's say you make 70%.
I'm a 60% free throw shooter. I've done that.
Okay, you're a 60% free throw shooter with an NBA basketball. And then I said, Andrew, now I want you to go shoot this softball the same way. You would be much below. Even though the ball is smaller and could fit in the rim easier, you'd shoot a lower percentage because your hands are too big. If you look at Giannis's hands on the ball, and a great place to go look is his 2014 Prism, just any 2014 Prism card. Let me see if I can pull it up.
By the way, this is why we love Jordan so much, because he defied so much logic.
Look at Giannis's hands on that picture. Like, if that doesn't, hang on, I'm trying to, well, that's as big as I can get it.
Half
I mean,
the
look
ball's
at that,
gone.
Andrew. That's like you and me shooting a softball.
Yep.
That's a big part of it. That's a big part of why Shaq can't shoot. That's a big part of why, a lot of gigantic people can't shoot the ball proficiently. Part of it is they don't get as many reps because, growing up in their life, they were so big that their coach said, get under the rim and do whatever, right? I think those days are kind of over because we do see Kevin Durant's got giant hands too, and he can shoot the piss out of it, right? But that's something to consider. But I think Giannis's problem is, where his elbow is underneath the ball. Sometimes he gets inverted, which is really weird. It's not a natural place to put your elbow. So his elbow gets inverted and he ends up shooting it like out like this with incorrect rotation. And then the other issue is he just locks his legs before his release, which any good shooter just naturally would never even – it's just natural not to do that. Like, that's why you bend your legs in the first place. So I don't know. I don't think we're going to see this epiphany where Giannis starts shooting 78% from the line. I don't think it's ever going to happen.
And it came to anatomy. And where I go with this is I was always struggled with fitness, even though I worked on my fitness. But I had buddies who could go out the night before and then run fitness tests. And just because of pure anatomy, long legs, good lungs, they were able to go.
Yeah.
And I could work all day, man. I could work all summer. I could eat right. And I would just never be as fit as they are in terms of running and stamina. So at certain points, we wish for the stars. We dream for the stars. But like everybody has a certain limitation. Everyone has a certain limitation. And I'm just curious what you thought, because I love Giannis. You love Giannis. We all want to see him succeed. So.
Look, man, God makes all people different. He makes all of us different. Like, some people were soccer. Let's go to soccer. Like, Tyler Adams can run forever, right? He's just,
right.
He's not the biggest. He's not the strong. He's certainly not the biggest or the strongest. Right. He probably does work as hard as everybody else, but some people are just born to run more. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's just easier on their body to go sprint 500 yards than it is on your body or my body. They were born with a certain predisposition to jump higher, lift more, run faster, run longer. It's the way it is, man. It's no coincidence that like all of the best distance runners in the world were from Kenya, right? I mean, why Kenya? I don't know. Maybe they do train differently. Maybe this, that. But
by the way, if you're listeking to this, Google that, because that's actually a real. I don't know, but there's a really.
I think I got that right. Kenya, right? Like, Kenyan runners were just like, for a while there, it was like, what the hell are they doing, right? But look, man, I don't know. I mean, God makes us all different, and some people are predisposed to be great at certain things. Just like some kids are born geniuses. Like, I saw some deal on Instagram where some girl was, talking, and I'm thinking to myself, this girl is freaking 7 years old. I've got a 9-year-old daughter, and the things that are coming out of this girl's mouth, it sounds like a 45-year-old, science professor at Stanford talking. And it's like, how is this? This can't be learned. This has to be a gift from God. It just has to be. So, we're all different, man. Last topic. We're at 58 minutes. I wanted to take longer on this topic, but I've got a hypothetical for you.
Let's rock.
Okay. Let's say it is 2000. Let's say it is August 2023. So almost a year from now.
Okay.
No, let's say it's this time a year from now.
Okay.
Wembanyama's in the NBA. He got drafted. Doesn't matter where he got drafted to. He's healthy.
Yep.
Would you rather a Wembanyama RPA, number to 99, National Treasures, or would you rather the same card for the second, third, and fourth draft pick in the NBA? Scoot Henderson and whoever's next. 3 RPAs or the Wembanyama in RPA? Scoot Henderson, some guy named Anthony Black from Arkansas is projected number 3, and then some guy named Brandon Miller from Alabama is projected number 4. 1 RPA or all 3 National Treasure RPAs for numbers 2, 3, and 4 in the draft, whoever that is.
Well, Wemby has tailwind, He has the hype machine behind him. And it's really hard to replicate hype machines as much as you want, right? Like, so easily Wemby. Even though I'm not that big on Wembanyama, because I actually think Bol is sort of similar. Not watching him play. But Wemby's the talk of the town, and he's the first round. He's going to be the first pick. You already crowned, and he's like, this is the next coming, and it's hard to build that hype machine. So Scoot Henderson could be fantastic the way John Morant was, but when Zion came out, Zion was a hype machine for a year. Now, can Scoot Henderson be a better player? I definitely think so. I definitely think
Who
so.
knows? Who knows?
I'm seeing a Zion Ja type of thing play out here again.
Interesting. So the reason I asked that question is because Andrew, if we go back, you would never say that about any of the last 5 drafts. Think about that.
I think Cade Cunningham sucks.
My point is, okay, well, even if I said Jalen Green, would you rather one Jalen Green or would you rather have Cade Cunningham, Evan Mobley, and Scotty Barnes? You would say, well, give me the 3, right? If we go back to 2022 and I said you can have pick one, Paolo Banchero, or you can have Benedict Mathurin, Jabari Smith, and Jaden Ivey. You'd take the 3. If I went back all the way to 2020 and we gave you the choice and it was Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball, this one's a little harder, Tyrese Halliburton, and, well, we're struggling here. Wow, that draft really kind of sucked. I guess that draft sucks. Precious Achiuwa.
They're still playing themselves out.
You're almost always going to take the 3 over the 1, but I think this is one draft where Wembanyama is going to be the one that people are going to take over the next 3. Even though we both think Scoot Henderson could be really good, I think this is a really rare. You know what I mean? I don't think this has been the case. I don't think there's been this much disparity in a long time, and I think a lot of that is a testament to it's not going to be the greatest draft other than Scoot, right? And obviously Wemby, but other than Scoot. And Wembanyama is just that exceptional and has that much hype behind him and has that much upside. I've already said it. I'm not sitting here telling you he's going to be the greatest player that's ever played, but I am comfortable saying this is the greatest prospect I have ever seen in my entire life. And anytime somebody brings up Bol in the same conversation, I want to hit the stop recording button and drive up to Philadelphia or drive up to Pennsylvania again. Because they're shaped the same, and they're not, by the way. They're not the same player. Like, people made that mistake with Zion, comparing Zion to Barkley. Just because they're both, chubby, 6'6" guys doesn't mean they're the same player. They're
because of the mindset?
Huh?
Because of the mindset and the identity?
No, they're just different players. It's like when people compare Doncic to Bird because he's a big, husky white guy. They're not even remotely the same player. Like, I don't like comparing players simply based on their physical makeup. You know what I'm saying?
Fine. Well, then we could go this route. When LeBron came out of high school, you couldn't compare LeBron to anybody. And I guess
agree.
Wemby can't be compared to anybody either.
Pre-Wemby, LeBron is the greatest prospect I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
I'll put him in the same category as Shaq. Those 2 guys were epiphanies. When you saw those 2 people, and I got to see Shaq, obviously, for 50 college games or 100, whatever, being in Baton Rouge and going to watch those games. And there's so many memorable moments from those. But, Shaq, LeBron, Wembanyama. And again, I am not saying he's going to have a career like them, but I'm saying if I was an NBA GM, I'm seeing something that you just don't see very often. In fact, something we've absolutely never seen in history.
So I don't want to generalize. I don't want to lose fans. The French are soft.
Tony Parker was French.
I'm just kidding. The French aren't soft. But
Mbappe's French.
He's French. Wemby. Yeah. And that's all.
Well, look, for 2 decades, everybody that wasn't from America was soft, right? That was the theory, right? And then, then Sarunas Marciulionis came over and he looked like a freaking assassin, that you wouldn't feel safe around. And he was a killer. I don't know. It goes both ways. There's soft American players. There's soft European players. There's soft South American players. And then there's just badasses from all those countries as well.
I know. But the French, man, they're.
No, dude.
Germany invades. They just raise their hands. We're not even gonna fight.
Oh,
that's their blood.
Yeah. Well, you love to judge, the modern with the 200 years ago and kind of extrapolate. It doesn't work that way.
90 years ago.
Whatever. It doesn't work that way.
Just take it all. Don't touch me. I'm the French.
It doesn't work that way.
Don't hate me. It's just a joke. Don't hate me, guys.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Yeah, I think all
Huge
that
game
stuff
today.
changed.
Suns Celtics. I'm really looking forward to that. Last time we talked, Tatum was my MVP. I love his development as a player, and I'm really
Is
excited
Tatum
for the
still your
Suns.
MVP today? Is he still your
Yeah,
MVP right now?
yeah. I, I'm looking. I think Jalen Brown and T's are a really interesting play. Jalen Brown is a fantastic player. But this team is 20-5. They're so in sync right now. I'm really excited to see how the Suns Celtics games plays out tonight, 10 p.m.
Mitchell's sneaking into that MVP conversation.
You're gonna have this.
He was always in the big net, right? He was
Sure.
always in the top 12, right? And that'll funnel down as we get further into the season. It'll be 7 by the time we get to the All-Star break. It'll be 3,
Right.
guys when we get to the final 20 games of the season. Mitchell was always in the 12. Mitchell's a problem. Mitchell's in a very fertile situation to win games. And if I think between Tatum, Giannis, Jokic, Mitchell, and Booker. I think team success, and of course Doncic. I think team success will ultimately dictate who wins that MVP. I think this is the year where you got to win. You've got to win your conference to win the MVP.
Well, it's gonna be runaway, dude. The Celtics are gonna be like 67-15, man.
What are you talking about? The Bucks are one loss more, and they just got Middleton back. The Bucks are going to have the best record in the East.
You want to make the bet? I guarantee you.
Now, right this second. Yes.
I'll bet you $100. $100 slab.
I'll take the Bucks. Well, you want me to tell you why so you can change your mind? I'll take the Bucks because Giannis is sitting, about 1 out of every 4 games now because of this left knee soreness. Middleton hasn't played except for the last, 2 out of the last 3 games. So he's just now coming back. Drew Holiday has sat out games. Joe Ingles hasn't played at all yet. And so the Bucks are winning without really, really important players. The Celtics are only missing 1 player. And other than that, they've been incredibly healthy. And so for that reason, and the fact that the Bucks have damn near the exact same record, they have 1 more loss in the loss column. I think the Bucks at some point are going to win like 27 out of 30 games. And then it's not going to be close.
3 less wins though.
So what?
Okay.
The Bucks are winning at 74. The Bucks are winning at 74% clip. They're probably going to win those 3.
Celtics are going to be the runaway best record in the NBA this year.
All right, we got to bet something on that.
We'll bet a slab. Let's say a slab under $250.
Deal. A surprise slab.
That's another episode.
That's a wrap. Good episode.
Guys,
okay.
You're listening to this on Luca Nation Network. Make sure to subscribe to Cajun Cardboard. A ton of amazing content going up on there. We appreciate all your support. I appreciate you putting your faith in us. I could not be happier having you as a part of what we're building. So you're amazing, dude.
And thank you, Mr. Goldberg, for letting Andrew use his house as a studio. It's a beautiful backdrop. It's a great studio. He's got a house full of Ukrainian kin in there, and they're taking care of him and playing chess together. Do you try to play chess with that kid? You're going to get whipped, dude.
I'm pretty good at chess.
Oh, gosh.
That was actually my best sport. Like Russian culture for whatever it is.
I'm sorry. You said it was your best what?
It was my best sport.
Sport?
Yeah.
I said chess.
Sport.
I know. I said chess, though. And then
chess
you said
is my best sport.
You said chess was a sport. Okay. All right. Well, we will discuss that amongst other things on the next episode next Wednesday. Thank you guys for watching.
Sport is when there's direct competition.
Okay. Well, billiards is a sport too then. Thank you guys for watching. Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby and play chess.